Hey guys, it's Jim. I hope you're having a great holiday season, and this is a requested review from Mike. Thanks very much. If anyone's interested in requesting a movie review of any movie, check out the link in the description to my PayPal. It's £5 for a review if you want to. And what a perfect film to request for this time of the year. It's a Wonderful Life. Now I've got to be honest, It's a Wonderful Life is a film that I don't watch enough. I don't think I've actually watched it for the last several years at Christmas. I haven't, and that's a strange thing because I watched it this time and it just again blew me away. I mean, I think it's one of the greatest Christmas movies, one of those Christmas movies which stands above so many, where it actually is saying something genuine and it really does get under the skin and warm your heart and captivate you, and just it gets all those Christmas feels in. Of course, It's a Wonderful Life is directed by the legendary Frank Capra, starring also legendary Jimmy Stewart as George Bailey, a man who grows up, inherits his dad's loan company. He has ambitions to leave his town of Bedford Falls, but life kind of gets in the way and he doesn't. He marries Mary, played by Donna Reed, has several children, and it's kind of about, the first half of the film is kind of about how life is not going to deal you the cards you think it is. You know, you grow up with these optimistic dreams and sometimes they come true, sometimes they don't. And it's about how you deal with that. And the great thing about Jimmy Stewart's performance in this, it's a towering performance. It's a stunning performance. This guy is one of the greatest actors of all time, by far.
Just remember this, Mr. Potter, that this rabble you're talking about, they do most of the working and paying and living and dying in this community. Well, is it too much to have them work and pay and live and die in a couple of decent rooms and a bath? Anyway, my father didn't think so. People were human beings to him, but to you, a warped, frustrated old man, they're cattle.
Jimmy Stewart can take you on he does in this film, he takes you on a roller coaster of emotions. He shows 1,000 different emotions, 1,000 different expressions in this. He is a true star, a true actor. He understood how everything is about his performance, physically, emotionally, is about conveying that reaction. He conveys such an honest reaction. You really believe in this character of George Bailey. You don't feel like you're looking at Jimmy Stewart at all. He brings this character to life so much. And George Bailey is a flawed human being, but he's genuinely such a good-hearted person. And at the root of this film is a good heart and a good-hearted man, and that's why you really root for him. The film is about that desire for more, the constant desire for more that we all have, where we just kind of look past anything that's there because it's not what we have. We're just like, well, I have this, but it's clearly not as good as this, and that's how we live. And then lots of people will go through life getting that situation, then that situation is not good enough. George shows a lot of compassion, but he also is a complete jerk at times. And Jimmy Stewart, with his outbursts, is so convincing. You know, he really does depict this man who's got such good intentions but got resentment building up inside for this town, and this belief that things would be better if he left. And he snaps at people. He snaps at his wife, he snaps at his children, he snaps at everyone because things don't go well for him, and he believes they should go well because, you know, why wouldn't they go well? Why can't he achieve what he wants? You know, it's about that kind of dilemma life puts us in, where we just think we should be rewarded for the person we are. We should get it easy, but it's just not how things work.
Let me speak first. Hello. Hello, Mrs. Welsh. Well, it's George Bailey. I'm Zuzu's father. Say, what kind of a teacher are you anyway? What do you mean sending her home like that, half naked? You realize she'll probably end up with pneumonia on account of you? George. Is this the sort of thing we pay taxes for, to have teachers like you, stupid, silly, careless people that send our kids home without any clothes on? You know, maybe my kids aren't the best dressed kids, and maybe they don't have any decent clothes. Oh, that's stupid.
I really do miss this style of acting. I need to watch more films from the 40s and the 50s. I've seen quite a lot. But that's a special kind of actor, Jimmy Stewart, and also Donna Reed, so stylish, so charming, so likeable as Mary in this. And just Frank Capra was such a dazzling director, you know, and you know, that spell that he could put over the audience in films like this. You know, that black and white silver screen era, there was a spell that came with it. There was a certain magic. There was a certain world where you really felt like it was the movies. It's a film about perspective. This is a film about, you can only ever see your own life. You know, you live in your own life in your own head. And I feel like so many people can relate to this. I can, where you'll look at everyone else and you'll go, that life is good. That life is successful. That life's better than mine. That life is successful. That person's happy. That person has what I have. And the strange thing, I mean, a terrifying thing, I think, that none of us realise about life is we all do that. So the people you're pointing at doing that are probably doing that about someone else. And then that someone else they point to is doing it about someone else. So it's about perspective. It's about how you look around you and you think everyone's doing better than you, but they're probably saying that about someone else, and they're all living with this state of not thinking they've done enough. And It's a Wonderful Life discusses that idea. You know, everyone other than George is happier than George in his mind. And, you know, anyone outside of Bedford Falls is happy in his mind. Kind of a Scrooge type idea, like a Christmas Carol type idea, where he restores faith in life. But in this one, it happens to a genuinely good man who's just lost sight of the good things. And, you know, you relate even more, because obviously Scrooge, you can't really relate to him till the end. You relate to this guy, and you understand why George feels so angry at the world, because we experience it in our daily lives. As I said, we look at everything else and we think the grass is greener everywhere. But when George is quite literally losing it, he's just losing his faith in everything and he wants to die, Jimmy Stewart can turn on this kind of nervous, frantic hopelessness. And that outburst he has in front of his wife and kids is heartbreaking. One of the most well-acted scenes in the film. But you always stayed sympathetic. You always like, oh, come on, George. Like, George felt like a friend in this. He feels like a friend. And that's, again, one of the messages of the movie. He was a friend to everyone. He didn't even know it. So that scene where George says to this angel he's just met, Clarence, that he would rather not have been born. And the angel says, right, okay, mate, here it is. Here's your life if you weren't born. George forgets the things that he did. He saved his brother's life when he was a child. He stopped his employer going to prison when he was a kid. Made sure so many people had houses and didn't go under. And the fear when he realises that that's all gone. And the idea of that all being gone. And the idea that, don't tell me that your life didn't matter. You know, and you can apply it to anyone. You know, you don't realise the things you do. And that's the great message of this, because it's actually thought-provoking, real stuff. You know, it's not like, oh, look, George, you're a good person, so you should stay alive. No, it's like, look what you physically did, and look what would have happened, look how you affected the world. When I'm watching it, I'm like, yeah, can you imagine, if I didn't die, but I just didn't exist for a moment, and this happened to me, my life would seem like a gleaming emerald, you know. But when you're living it in real life, you don't view it as much. And this is the sort of thing that this film can provoke, an idea to actually see your life as something meaningful, see your life as something good, as something wonderful. You won't know the effects that you had, but along the way, in your however many years of life, you affected so many people. This ending is heartbreaking, heart-wrenching and heartwarming all at once. One of the loveliest, most wonderful endings in all of cinema, where George is back and everyone recognises him again and he's back alive. And he's so happy, like bursts back into his house, and he was destitute before this. And he's like happy to see the people who come to take him to prison, and he's happy to see everyone. And you know, it was almost taken away from him, and now he can appreciate it. He has the perspective to appreciate it. One of the things we're lacking as human beings, as I talked about, is perspective. I would say the most thing human beings would benefit from out of any trait is perspective. It would help you realise so much. And he gets that. He gets the biggest perspective of all. And then obviously he's hugging his kids again. He's hugging his wife. And you know, that earnest performance by James Stewart. And it just makes you so warm inside, because he's truly realised. He's not just had some vague realisation. You know, he almost lost everything, and he's truly realised. His wife went round and got donations, and because everyone in the town actually loves George, they donated to keep him from going destitute. And Jimmy Stewart's face, his smile, when he sees that everyone did this, is one of the most powerful moments in cinema. Just that smile for me breaks my heart. He turns into a child again for that moment. It's such an innocent smile of realisation. And he's looking around and he's seeing everyone who cared about him and whose lives he affected. And then his brother comes back from war, and you find out his brother looked, he always thought his brother did better than him because he became a war hero, but his brother actually looked up to him.
To my big brother George, the richest man in town.
I guess you could call it schmaltzy, but I feel like because you've gone so dark with the film, and because you've got such a genuine performance out of Jimmy Stewart, and because all the reactions are so real, and all the situations are so relatable and ground level, I don't think it's schmaltzy at all. And lots of Christmas movies are guilty of that. But I think It's a Wonderful Life is still one of those ones that hits the right marks of actually hitting you emotionally, so it can bring the real, genuine, bittersweet reaction out of you at the end. No matter what you think, you've affected the world. You have. That's a reason to carry on. Thanks for requesting this, Mike, and Merry Christmas. If anyone else wants to request a review of any movie, as I said, the link is in the description. Merry Christmas, everyone. Once again, watch It's a Wonderful Life if you haven't yet this Christmas, because it's the movie we all need and we will always need. If you enjoyed this video and you enjoy my content, please subscribe, and we can geek out over movies together. I'll see you guys next year, January. See you soon.